Hey all, Tony Bing here, hello and welcome back to another in-depth review for Marvel Strike Force. Now, bit of a special review tonight. We have the legendary Phoenix to look at, a very interesting character because she actually has two kits, which if nothing has made it interesting to come up with this in-depth review and edit it all. Now, in the video to let you know if she's worthwhile investing in, we'll have a look at a general overview first, we'll then check out her stats and that'll apply to her Phoenix and Dark Phoenix modes. We'll have a look at the abilities where again we'll look at both the modes. We'll check out the synergies, which is characters she works well with and characters you want to avoid, and then finally we'll see where she will place in the tier list. Now, just before we get in and have a look at the overview, I'll just mention, as I've said in a few videos recently, at the moment YouTube for some reason doesn't seem to be suggesting my videos much at all, so if you're enjoying the content on the channel, please take the time to hit the like button, hit the share button, make sure you're subscribed, and also please leave a comment below, because the more comments we get, it drives engagement and hopefully they'll get the suggestions back up again. But with that out of the way, let's jump in and have a look at the general overview. Jean Grey then is a character that ties the exceptionally strong X-Men team all together. Now, if we look at her tags, it's Hero, Global, Mutant, Controller and X-Men. The most important one really is the X-Men tag. The other ones don't really factor in too much to modes or synergies. In regards to unlocking, and of course it's a legendary event where it's 5 different characters and they're mystic villain controller characters. Some of them are quite obscure, like the likes of the Hand Assassin that you wouldn't normally use, but I can say without spoiling too much that it is worthwhile levelling up Hand Assassin so you can in turn unlock Phoenix. So with the overview covered, let's have a look at her stats. We'll start off with the offensive stats here, and you'll see we've actually got two different versions. The reason being that when she transforms into Dark Phoenix, there is a slight change in her stats. The vast majority go up and one of them I believe goes down. So if we look at the stats for the regular Phoenix mode, her damage is at an A, her speed is really nice, it's 118, which is a B, and then her focus is an A, so that's a great start, green across the board. When she's defeated and transforms into Dark Phoenix, her damage would remain an A rating, it goes up ever so slightly. Her speed drops down, but it's just by 2, so it's still a B rating, it's at 116. Her focus goes up as well, so it's still an A rating, but if there was ever such a thing as an A+, then it would fall into that category because it does jump up a nice amount there. So that's the offensive stats, green across the board, pretty awesome. Let's have a look at the defensive ones now. Defensive wise, her stats are a little bit on the lower side when she's in a regular Phoenix mode, but that's not necessarily a bad thing because that can help her actually get downed and then she turns into the Dark Phoenix and she can start wrecking everything. So if we look at the Phoenix stats first here anyway, her health sits at a B rating, armor's on the lower side, that's down at a D, and resistance is a B. When she's defeated, transforms into Dark Phoenix, all of her defensive stats, so that's health, armour and resistance, all go up to an A rating. So the armour jumps from a D to an A, it jumps up by a huge amount, and you really need the extra survivability because you want her to stay up long enough to get that ultimate off and absolutely destroy the other team. So offensively and defensively stat wise, she does really nice. So what we'll check out next will be the abilities. So when it comes to the abilities here, you can see she's got two sets, one for a regular Phoenix mode and one for the Dark Phoenix. Now we'll start off with the Phoenix one first. So this is called Phoenix Rising. Now maxed out on death, you summon Dark Phoenix. Phoenix cannot be revived. When she comes back, she works as a summon. So what that means is that, let's say she's downed in war or she's downed in a raid, when it comes to the next node and the next attack in war, she won't actually come back. So she's not really that useful in those modes. At least in war, she's not useful defensively as much because someone can go in very quickly, take her down, and that's her out for the next match. So that's something to bear in mind. But also with this, on ally taunt, she gains taunt, so this way if the likes of Colossus taunts up, there's still a chance that she can take some aggro and get downed and turn into Dark Phoenix. So this is actually nice here. Also with this, and this is really nice with the X-Men team, you gain 30% damage, X-Men allies gain 30% damage, she gains 30% max health, and also X-Men allies gain 30% max health as well. Now when she's downed, transforms into Dark Phoenix, her passive is from the ashes, so with this, on spawn she attacks all enemies for 250% damage, which is a nice amount, and she applies defense down for 2 turns, which is absolutely awesome. The difference from level 4 to 5 on this is actually 10% health and damage to all the X-Men characters, including Jean, and also the defense down when she goes into the Dark Phoenix mode is 1 turn, but it jumps up to 2 at level 5, so this is a priority upgrade, and one that if you're leveling up Jean, you want to max this out as soon as you can. The next set of skills we look at here are for the basics, so we have Psychic Blast and Immolation. Now Psychic Blast, which you use in regular Phoenix form, with this you attack primary target for 250% damage and you clear 2 positive effects. When you're in Dark Phoenix mode it becomes Immolation and it essentially becomes a splash damage skill, so you're attacking the primary target but you're also hitting adjacent targets for 250% damage and you're clearing 2 positive effects from the primary and adjacent targets as well. Now if you're looking to run her in an X-Men team, then I would say you just want to keep this at level 6. If you want to run her in a hybrid X-Men Brotherhood team and drop in Magneto, it's worthwhile upgrading to 7 because Magneto will pull everyone together. When she's in Dark Phoenix mode, it means you're then hitting everyone for 250% damage on a basic and you're clearing 2 positive effects as well, which is really pretty amazing. So again, on X-Men take it to level 6, on a Brotherhood combo or hybrid even, then take it up to level 7. We have the special then for the next set of abilities. Now you can see they both take 5 turns to charge and comes fully charged, and I'll mention that the way our charges work for skills that have charges on them is, let's just say you used your special in Phoenix mode turn number 1 and then you were downed, so that would mean you only had 1 charge available in that special. When you transform into Dark Phoenix mode, you'll get the number of charges you're seeing on screen at the moment, so you'll get the full 5 charges there, so you don't have to wait and try and conserve your charges until you're in that mode. Feel free to just really blast your skills as soon as you get them. Now if we break down what you get on the 2 of these, the first one is Bestow Light. So with this you apply stealth to all allies for 2 turns, you apply defense up to all allies. This works really nice in a Brotherhood team, but you don't want to use it if you've just taunted up with Colossus because you actually remove his taunt. Also with this you'll redistribute 25% of max health from self to allies. All allies receive an additional 10,000 health, bypasses heal block, transfers all negative effects from allies to self, so that's nice to get her downed. If there's no allies, you attack self for 50,000% piercing damage, and if Phoenix died, her passive ability is then triggered and that transforms her into Dark Phoenix mode. Now when she's in Dark Phoenix mode, you have Vitality Drain, so with this you steal 20% health from all enemies and redistribute to self, and you apply regeneration to all allies, and you apply an additional regeneration to X-Men allies as well. So the difference from level 6 to 7 on this particular one is 4,000 health when you're in Phoenix mode and 5% that you're stealing, so you're stealing 15% health from enemies when you're in Dark Phoenix mode rather than 20% when it's maxed out. So for that reason I would say this is one you just want to take up to level 6. The final ability we have here is one that can be a complete game changer when she's in a Dark Phoenix mode. Now to break this down, in total it's 8 turns to charge and it comes with 6 charges, so you need to wait to turn number 2 in both forms before you can use it. But this here, the first one is called Phoenix Force, so with this you attack primary target for 400% damage and you clear all positive effects, and you gain 50,000% extra focus for this attack. Now characters that gain additional resistance, so it's hard to actually cleanse them, include the likes of Thanos, Juggernaut and Colossus. They can all gain up to an additional 1000% resistance, but in the face of 50,000% extra focus, Jean will still be able to cleanse them, so that's something to bear in mind there. Now, when she's in the Dark Phoenix mode, it becomes Phoenix Unleashed. This is incredible. The animation looks amazing as well. It's probably one of my favourite ones in the game, but you're attacking all enemies for 400% damage. You're clearing all positive effects on each target, which is insane. You've got the 50,000% extra focus, and the attack is unavoidable as well. So, as mentioned, this one is a complete game changer, but you just need to keep her alive in the Dark Phoenix form to the second turn so that you can fire this off. Now, the difference from level 6 to 7 in this is 50% damage. That applies to both modes, and also with both modes you'll go from clearing 3 positive effects to clearing all positive effects. So alongside the passive, this is an incredibly high priority in regards to one you want to max out as soon as you can. So that's all the abilities. Let's now have a look at the synergies. When it comes to characters that Jean can work well with, she is incredibly versatile. Now, of course, you've got the X-Men characters she works exceptionally nice with. The combination of Jean and Colossus is unbelievably strong, giving Colossus that 4-turn taunt. You then have the fact that she works really nice with the Brotherhood if you drop her in there, and that was down to the basic we were talking about earlier. Mags pulls everyone together, she's in Dark Phoenix form, and then you're hitting everyone for 250% damage, and you're cleansing them for 2 positive effects as well, which is amazing. Now, also on this list, I don't believe I've put this in a video before, but I'm adding in everyone as well here, because if you actually look at her kit, yes, some parts of it are designed towards X-Men, but the vast majority isn't, which means she can drop into any team and be incredibly effective. If we look at what she actually loses out if you're not running her in a full X-Men team, then when she's in Dark Phoenix mode, you'll get 1 less regen on her special, and she won't be offering that additional 10% health and damage to the other X-Men characters, but she still will be offering it to herself. So for that reason, it may look like I'm being lazy, but I'm putting everyone in here for allies because she really is that good. Now, next up, let's have a look at the characters you want to avoid, and these are characters you can use to take her down as well. So when it comes to actually taking down Jean, you have to be exceptionally careful when you come up against her. If you get into Dark Phoenix mode and you're lower to fire off that ultimate, then it's really game over for your team. Now, ways that you can counter her, the best option in the first instance is try and leave her to last if you can. When she's in a regular Phoenix mode, for 3 skills, 2 of them are only doing single target damage, and the second one, the special, is nice from a defensive perspective, but it's not a patch on the skills she gets when she's in Dark Phoenix mode. So try and leave her on her own for as long as you can. When she transforms into Dark Phoenix mode, if you're able to time that at the same time that you're running a shield or defenders team, for example, and you've applied full counter on all of them, what will happen is she'll go into Dark Phoenix, she'll hit everyone, she'll put defense down on them, which is a bit of a pain in the butt, but what will happen is that entire team will then fire off their counters, and if they're leveled up enough, that could be enough to actually take her out as soon as she's transformed into that mode. So that's something that you can attempt with her, but it's pretty tricky to get it to all line up. What you can also do when she just transforms into her Dark Phoenix mode, if you time it right and you get hand sentry, you can put up evades on everyone so the defense down and the attack will actually miss, because the passive when she's in her Dark Phoenix mode isn't unavoidable like the ultimate, so that's an option there. Once she's actually into the Dark Phoenix mode, you don't want her firing off the special or the ultimate, especially the ultimate. So ability block can come in useful, and that would include the likes of Ant-Man, Venom and Vision that can also apply that. Or what you could alternatively do is just try and stun her when she's in that mode, and the likes of Black Widow or Spider-Man could work there as well. So really specific setups you need everything to line up your way, and that's really makes her such a difficult character to take down. If there's any particular setups you've been using, let me know in the comments below, and I can certainly add a pinned post with them. But that's the characters that can be useful for taking her down. So let's now have a look and see where she places in the tier list. Jean Grey then was touted as one of the strongest characters that would be available in the game, and I would say that is definitely right. In that respect, Fox Next have at least kept their promise. Let's not talk about the star rating unlock requirements at all, but she is exceptionally strong. She's a character that if I see her in War Defense, I'll hope that another member of my lines will jump in and try and take her on, because she's an absolute nightmare to take out, and that's with any team that she's actually put in with. If she's put in alongside an X-Men team, then you're going to have a whole lot of trouble taking that team down. Now, when it comes to rating her, one thing I meant to mention when we were talking about the special, and this is exceptionally important in her overall usefulness, is the fact that when you use the special when you're in your regular Phoenix form, she'll take all the negative effects and put them on herself. Now that actually counters Magneto. Magneto goes straight away if he's got another Brotherhood member in his team. He'll cast blind on everyone, and then what Jean will do is she'll take that blind and place it on herself, and then the rest of your team can start attacking and burning down the Brotherhood. So from an arena perspective, it is incredibly important, and she really is an important part of that setup in offense and defense. Now, when it comes to her actual rating, on her own I would place her as a mid and mega character, so that's exceptionally strong without synergies. With synergies, and that would specifically be the X-Men team, or if you place her alongside the Brotherhood team as well, where she can really excel, then I would say she would move up to a high Omega. So with synergies, she would be in the same tier as Ultron. She's not quite there without synergies. She's not as godlike as Ultron because he is incredible and he's got very few weaknesses, whereas Jean does have one or two, but they are quite hard to get the right set of circumstances to take advantage of. But absolutely incredible character, one that's worth farming your hand assassin up to 7-star, so you can eventually get her to 7-star as well. So that's the in-depth review for Jean. As mentioned earlier on at the start of the video, if you are enjoying the content, please take the time to hit the like button, share, hit subscribe if you haven't done so already, and leave a comment below as well. And thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you all again soon.